So the program for the evening is as follows. We shall first have the opening address at 6:40 p.m., followed by a 30-minute segment on impromptu speeches. You will be invited to participate in this learning exercise. After the impromptu speech section, we have 3 special speakers presenting their prepared speeches. It will be wonderful to have some volunteers to provide feedback for each of these 3 speeches. After a 5-minute break at about 8 o'clock, there will be one more prepared speech, followed by a special training by our president, Mr. Gay Van Pen. At 8:55, we shall have the test, which is a signature of Agora Singapore speakers and something that we all look forward to. The meeting shall end at 9:30 p.m. after the closing address by none other than Wilson Lowe. So let me start by introducing the appointment holders for the evening. For those of you who have just logged in, the icebreaker session was led by Rehana Abdullah. Rehana is an intervention coach. She intervenes to help individuals to be able to let go of limiting beliefs and bring positive mindset changes that enable them to create breakthroughs in their lives, health, career, relationships, and finances. Her specialty is in mindset transformation and emotional healing. For the past 8 years, she has been doing her intervention work as a life skills trainer in local MOA, primary and secondary schools. Her students have benefited from her training in areas such as leadership, socio-emotional programming, goal setting, future planning, conflict management, public speaking, speech and drama workshops, debating, and many more. So I'm sure that lots of our children are benefiting from the programs that Rehana Abdullah has planned for them. She has impacted 6,000 students to date from various schools such as ACS, Chung Cheng High, Tao Nan Primary, to name a few. For the past 2 years, she has progressed to transforming the lives of professionals. After herself having gone through her own mindset transformation journey from the depths of darkness to awaken and become the success that she is today. Let us all, Rehana, will you wave to us so that we can all see? The next person who calls for a warm introduction is Willie Lowe. He's our video conference director. Willie is the president of Fusion Toastmasters Club. He's very active in the Toastmasters movement. He's a visionary who is a pioneer for online Toastmasters Club meetings. Willie, I hope you are here. Very often, Willie is not to be seen, but the last time he did give us a speech on how a podcast can make a difference in the business. So let's give him a warm round of applause, because without him, we won't have this online meeting. Thank you, Willie. The next is our timekeeper, who also happens to be our impromptu segment master for the evening, and that is Kaustav Das, or KD, as we all call him lovingly. Kaustav wears different hats depending on the day of the week and time of the day. That sounds very interesting. Kaustav is closely associated with the Singapore startup ecosystem, and from a pole position, he experiences the exciting role our little red dot is playing on the world entrepreneurship map. He built health technology startup after leaving his corporate career. Later, he guided a venture capital fund to grow their investment base in Asian startups. He also advised more than 25 startups, refining their digital product lineup and funding strategies. So we see that he's an entrepreneur, and he's also somebody very good with technology. In his free time, Kaustav engages with founders and budding entrepreneurs discussing and brainstorming technological solutions to address their business challenges. Kaustav, we look forward to seeing your hand waving at all of us. Let's give him a warm round of applause. He's wearing two different hats for us today at Agora. Now, going on to the meeting proper, the focus for tonight is back to basic. And what do we mean by that? This means that the focus is on our feedback to the speakers. And how can we do that? So this can be done. We can pay attention on whether the speaker told us what he promised to tell us, whether the content of the speech makes sense, whether the body of the speech leads logically to the conclusion. Now, as the audience, the role, what we can do is that the speakers feel appreciated and encouraged, and they feel that they can make a difference by what they say. Thus, let's provide them with a nurturing and supportive environment. And how exactly do we do that? We encourage the speakers by clapping our hands when the speakers are introduced. That's one. By clapping our hands when the speaker has finished speaking, number two. And by smiling at the speakers and nodding our heads when we agree. That's number three. Without further ado, let's come to the meeting proper. That would be with an opening address by the Vice President of Education of Agora Singapore Speakers Club, Casey Chen. Casey graduated from RMIT with a Bachelor of Design and have been doing design, art, and branding for more than 25 years. His works are used in many companies, brands like 1855 The Bottle Shop, Rocher, and Nestle International. He is an author, painter, sculptor, and designer. Casey has spoken as a key speaker in numerous design and arts festivals and local and international design events. He enjoys his daily work as a brand consultant and also in helping many in their personal grooming. Casey has been with Agora Singapore Speakers since the club started in Singapore was started by Mr. Gay Ban Peng 3 years ago. He has held the roles of an MC, a timekeeper, has delivered prepared and impromptu speeches. He has played every role there is, and now he's masterminding the online meetings as well. Currently, he is serving as VPE in Agora Singapore Speakers Club. Let us give a warm welcome to Casey Chen. We look forward.
Good evening, everybody. It's so good to see all the faces and friends from New York City too. Hi, Albert. Good evening, members, new friends from Singapore and overseas. Welcome to Agora Speakers Club Singapore. And good evening, our club president, Mr. Gay Ban Peng. I'm excited to share with you that tonight is very special indeed. Very, very special because it took me a lot of effort to convince our president, Mr. Gay, to give us a special training. So if those who want to learn from him, please stay on. You will not regret it. I'd like to share with you a real story about myself that took me more than 30 years to draft it. In 1998, I went for a basic airborne course. When I was in secondary school, it was then a 3 weeks training for 2 jumps to earn the airborne wings. It is the 1,000 feet jump from the aeroplane. During the 3 weeks, we have to do a lot of physical exercise to make sure our body can take the stress for the pieces of training. In the morning, we will wake up at 6 a.m. to do a 5-kilometer run before breakfast. After that, we will have theory lessons about parachuting, about how was it made and packed. was introduced to different instructors teaching us different stages of parachuting before we can go ahead for our first jump. Right on the first week, we are already learning the landing technique. First, we jump off 3 feet high platform. We must remember the landing drill by heart. Whenever we heard this, hit it, we must act upon the landing right on spot. We were in. Even when we will carry something, we have to drop the staff and say and perform the landing drill. And let's hit it throughout the whole in-camp training. Hit it there. Before the lunch, before the dinner, we have hit it. After a few days of basic training of landing, we were brought to a hanging simulator that we will be hanged with a harness like a real parachute. The height got higher this time. It goes to 6 feet for us to jump off. On top, we will be hanging for a few seconds as the rope moves us down slowly with a sudden drop. There, we have to perform the landing drill as our feet touches the ground. The landing drill is fundamental as to break the drop impact when we're landing with a real parachute from 1,000 feet in the sky. The importance of training. The first 7 days all about landing drills. The instructor made us practice and practice. And then until 30 years later, today, I still can perform the landing drill by heart. It's so easy for me. On the start of the second week training, it just got more exciting. We are into the final simulator that is in 8-story high tower. We were fitted with the harness, but this time on top of the tower, and we are to jump off on the top of the tower with the harness. From there, from the drop, we will swing 50 meters to experience the real jump of the plane. Hence, the rest of the training will be the landing drill from 6 feet and the tower jump, 6 feet and the tower jump. They make us do countless practices, physical exercise until we were ready for the drop of the plane. Hence, on the day of the actual jump, we are all ready to perform because we practice. The importance of practicing. Practice makes us improve our skills to make us better in what we do. If you routinely practice a certain skill, you will get at it good. You will get good at it. And it happens with studying too. And we all have been there, studying for long hours, practicing something that we have learned over and over again for exam or test we have. Now, in Agora, we come together to practice public speaking. We do the same thing over and over again until we are so good at it. I want to encourage everyone to come forward, to speak, to learn together, to grow together, to become better. We are Club 39, Agora Singapore Speakers Club, and we welcome you tonight for another wonderful time to meet and to practice. Thank you very much, and back to you, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Casey. And it showed through your personal experience how practice makes perfect. And I hope we can all try to practice our speeches here, practice communicating here, and we slowly get to perfection. Thank you. Now, there's one thing that Casey mentioned, which reminded me something that needs the special attention, which is Mr. Gevan Sing's training, which is coming much later. It's not happening at the beginning. So let's all wait for that. It's called the fact finding report, and looking forward to that. So the next segment for today's program is impromptu speaking. The time allowed for this segment is 30 minutes. At 20 minutes, the green light will be flashed. At 25 minutes, the yellow light, and at 30 minutes, the red light. The session has to end in the next 30 seconds. So at 30 minutes, 30 seconds, the audio device will sound, and the session has to end soon. The impromptu speech master for the evening is Kaustav Das, and we have already introduced him. and we know him as an entrepreneur who's an expert with technology. Let us give Kaustubh Das a warm welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening.
Welcome to this Agora meeting. This is the most interesting part of the meeting, and today actually Sean is also helping me presenting the screens so that I can also have a look at all the speakers. So before we start this particular segment, today we have 23 participants as of now, and I am sure actually this list will grow. Out of these 23 speakers, only around 10 of us would be actually speaking, including me. What about the 13 who are not speaking? So this is the opportunity for all of you to actually come, participate, and play. There is absolutely no right, no wrong. There is no judgment. So just come and actually share what you think. And this is just a practice. What Casey was mentioning a little while ago, how we actually get the perfection is just by practice. And this is the segment where you can actually come and practice, even though you have not actually prepared anything. So the way actually will be going ahead, there will be certain topics that we will actually introduce later. And during the session, please volunteer yourself because I may not be able to see all of you. So just volunteer yourself, okay, your name, and then actually say, okay, whichever which topic you want to speak. As I mentioned, there is no right or no wrong. Absolutely feel free to speak for the topic or against it. Is perfectly all right. Just try to be your best. So that's the whole idea of this particular session. So before we start the session, there are a few basic training that we would like to provide here. And Sean, if we can go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So we shall be doing three things. First, I shall introduce the speech structure. Then I'll introduce some topics for the discussion. And next, we'll invite you for the to speak you on the topic. So please feel free to volunteer. A person can also volunteer for more than one topic. There is absolutely no such binding. And whatever your thoughts are, some of the topics could be abstract, some of the topics could be controversial. That's the whole idea. It's like a debate in our school time, but it's more like a in the adult club. Not in the right sense of the adult club, but it's actually like a grown up. So move on to the next point. Sean, can you move to the next slide? Yeah. So this first to present your understanding on the issue. So when we actually give the topic, so this is the broad structure that you might like to follow. Please don't get intimidated. Feel free to moderate yourself or whatever you feel the best. So first you present your understanding of the issue from one extreme view to affirm the points that you can agree to. Next, you can actually move to the other extreme view to affirm the points you may agree to or may not. And then finally, focus on the audience, the points of agreement. Try to build a consensus. And finally, propose the better way forward. Next slide. Then actually, what are the kind of topic? For example, like one of the example topics that we talk about, say we want casinos in Singapore. So what are the points in favor of? Then the transition to the part 2, and then moving on to part 3. So this is the broad structure, and every speaker will have 2 minutes of time to talk on any topic. So we move to the topic. So there are a total of 8 topics, and we can go ahead, Sean. Thank you. Yes. So topics, these are actually argumentative, and you can speak in favor or against. So first topic, a person who has mastered the art of self-discipline. Only he or she can achieve personal glory and can share success stories. Do you agree with it, or you don't agree, or you have your different thoughts? Please share.
I agree. Can I do it?
Absolutely, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, President, Agora, members, just like what Casey said, practice. And practice is self-discipline. If you want to achieve anything, you just have to have self-discipline. What does self-discipline mean? Self-discipline means schedule. Schedule whatever you choose to do to achieve your goals, schedule, and be on schedule. You plan it, you do it, and make it happen. And that is discipline. And discipline is very important. When you are disciplined, this is the chance where you also practice to be the commander-in-chief of yourself. Because whatever you do, you set the schedule, you do it. This is your self-discipline, and this is your control and command. If you want to be in command and control in your life, you have to practice self-discipline. On the other hand, if you don't do, well, you will be just floating around, you'll be drifting, and very dangerous will be you could be going downhill because you have no discipline. You take things by your feelings. So the discipline, there's a lot of things to conquer. First thing, you have to conquer yourself and to be self-disciplined so that you can do more, you can achieve what you want. And this discipline is about you, about your believing in yourself and knowing about your potential. And in your self-discipline, you are also practicing empowerment, applying power to whatever you want to do. And you can choose. You can be self-disciplined or not. If you want to achieve anything, you just have to have self-discipline. And that's the reason why Army, they have a lot of training. And that is discipline. Training, practice. You want to do well, like coming to Agora. We are practicing. And unless we have a self-discipline, set a time, and we are here, and we show up, and we do it, we can't achieve anything. Thank you.
Wonderful, Lawrence. Absolutely brilliant. In fact, just to share an anecdote, many of us might have read in the newspaper just a couple of years, possibly a year ago, the Japan local train, I mean their MRT system, they apologized because their trains were running late by, I think, few seconds. It was possibly 2 seconds, and it made headlines across the world. And any country, whoever has shown discipline, be it Singapore, Korea, Japan, or Germany, they have all built the country in a period of maybe 20 to 30 years and all shown remarkable discipline as a nation. I think absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Lawrence. Anybody else would like to speak on the same topic? Can you show to Sean's screen, please? Robots will make our life more comfortable, giving us higher standard of living. You may agree or you may not agree, but please share what do you think about it. Even if you do not have much idea, still you can venture into this one, because all of our aware what is happening around us, be it artificial intelligence, be it robotics, be it jobs.
I think Anne-Marie wants to speak.
Sure, Shona, please.
Right, Anne-Marie?
No. No.
No, we are listening.
She's not taking. Can I volunteer Sean Tan?
You can volunteer. Can I reject?
No.
Can I
Okay.
say I am volunteering myself?
Okay, I think Kapil is here.
Sorry.
Yeah, Kapil, go ahead.
I can go ahead, but let me tell you, like I have a major network breakdown. So if it reboots or I'm using my telephone network. So, but still I'll go on.
Yep.
So yeah, I do not agree with this that robots are going to make our life easier or they're going to increase our standard of life. It in terms of show off of wealth, it might increase. But we all have seen like automobiles were supposed to increase our standard of life and giving us more prestige or wealth or speed. But ultimately, we all on the planet are suffering because of the environment pollution. Majority of our cities are not livable because we are having this immense problem of pollution. Coming to the robots, like they may ease our way of doing things, but this easiness will come with a cost. A robot is not going to come and do your chores. If it starts doing your daily chores, you will suffer more health problems than before. Like a robot will not go and do exercise for you. You have to do it yourself. So once you get this ease and comfort of using robots for doing small things, you might turn, and majority of the population might turn into a potato couch, like just ordering things at will. That will take more toll on your mental as well as physical health, and ultimately it will lead to decline of human race. So I prefer a robot like what we are using automobile without any limits. I prefer that these robots should not be allowed to do each and everything in what human can be replaced. Maybe tomorrow the robots may start producing kids, so that might not increase your living standards. So ultimately, this will create this traveling has created more traveling on airplanes. We have seen how easily the virus can spread. So similarly, using a robot can create a problem which we are not even aware of. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you. Pass.
Thank you, Kapil, for sharing this view. Anybody would like to counter Kapil's view, or would like to support his view, or have your own neutral viewpoint on the same topic? It will be interesting to hear another different point of view. Mike, yes, Mike, please go ahead. Mike Nicholson.
Thank you for the opportunity to be involved. My background is human resources, 45 years in HR, and I've seen a lot of things since I started work in the 1970s.
Wow.
And one of the things that I read about just over the last 2 or 3 years is 50% of all jobs in the world are already redundant, could be done better and cheaper and coronavirus free by a computer. I don't have a problem with that as long as we socialize it. My vision is that we all only work a 3-day week. However, we need to have 6 days salary. We need more money than we currently get. And I think that is achievable. I think it's really a disgrace that 1% of the world own 50% of the world's wealth. I think we need to redistribute money, and that would create a lot of freedom. The reason I think that having robots come in and do work that we currently do as humans is not that they replace us so much, but they augment us. They give us more opportunity to do things that we are good at and things that we at the moment don't have time for. One of the things I would expect people and maybe demand people to do with their extra 2-day weekend is spend 1 day permanently at university every Saturday, or whether we work Monday, Friday, or they work Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday or something. But 1 day a week anyway is permanent learning for life. So everybody goes back and learns new skills. We cannot stay with the skills that we learn at university or even at school. The world is changing too quickly. And then the other day I would see for social projects like looking after your own kids. I mean, at the moment, children are left really to mind them for themselves. Yeah, parents have to go out to work to make money, to feed the kids and give them holidays, whatever. So they need more attention. And also old people, their parents. We need to spend more time looking after our parents and spending more time with our parents. So having a extra couple of days of the weekend is not really a problem. It's a redistribution of working. So I would love to see this happen. My feeling is it could really happen because of coronavirus. So I'll leave the floor for somebody else to finish off. Thank you much.
Thank you, Mike. I think this was a very different and a unique perspective that you shared. I really appreciate this one. This topic, I think each and every one of us have actually experienced in the last 3 to 4 months time. This first point is, this is what I have learned from COVID-19 menace. So please share what all the values, it may be positive, it may be negative, that you have actually experienced. Who would like to volunteer and share your thoughts?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. And first of all, my heart goes out to all of the people who have been affected negatively by the COVID-19. As we see hospitals fill up, we see people losing loved ones. Certainly, with any positive benefit from COVID-19, there are many people who have been affected negatively. So my heart and prayer goes out to them. On the other hand, there has been a lot of benefits that have come from the COVID-19. And I like to see the question again. It left the screen. But in any event, if I'm not answering it properly, I'll just continue forward. I was amazed at the power of the COVID-19 in the sense of, I never thought anything could slow down an economy, slow down a lifestyle of people. And COVID-19 has shown me just how powerful or things that could happen to actually slow down the world. We've read things in history like the bird flu, the Spanish flu, that it would slow things down. But what I've learned from this is that there's nothing like family. There's nothing like being able to spend time with the people you really care about. There's nothing like school was closed. Work, people were telecommuting, working from home. We got a chance to see our family members every day, because normally we spend so much time in the office, so much time traveling. So we get to learn to appreciate the finer things in life, just being around family and friends. I've also learned the power of technology. As a matter of fact, I doubt very seriously that I would even meet the people in this group had it not been for COVID-19. And so I've learned that it's really about the relationships that we build. It's about the things that we value most coming together and being able to share in an opportunity such as this with our family. In fact, some people are not interested in going back to the old way. COVID-19 has been a challenge for many people, but if you could look at what it has, the benefits it has provided, I think you would see, yes, it's painful, but there's a lot that we can learn from this. And I hope we continue this format in this fashion. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you. I know that you were not prepared and actually picked you up, and still you gave a very good answer. It's just called the impromptu speaking. Anybody can be picked.
First thing I learned is that technology is a wonderful thing. If not for technology, life would have literally stopped. Because of technology, we were still able to order food online, buy things online, so we still have food delivered to us. Because of technology, some of us were still able to work from home. Our kids were still able to study from home. and you have access to all the information through the internet. And I was fortunate to benefit from that because I'm a trainer. I managed to continue training throughout the last 2 months. In fact, it was even busier than my normal times because we were able to train online via Zoom as well. Yes, it is not that ideal, but it was good enough. Now, the other thing I learned also is that despite the wonders of technology, it can never replace brick and mortar businesses. I found that you cannot have an Korean barbecue together. You cannot eat durian together. Technology cannot enhance that. We still need to go to the restaurant, sit together with your family or your friends, have a wonderful time, and clink glasses and cheers face to face, and just see the happiness in each other and just really enjoy a true meal face to face. We need human to human interaction. Look at what happened a few days ago when phase 2 opened. The malls were swarmed. People say that this is the end of the brick and mortar businesses and retail stores. I don't think so. People like to walk around, look around, even if they do not buy things. They just like to be around other people. And so these are the two things that I learned. Both are very optimistic. Technology is good, but we need our traditional businesses with us as well. It will never go away. So take care everyone and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Sain. In fact, actually, you just reminded me that apart from the Zoom founder, there are a couple of other people also made a lot of billions. Like one Malaysian entrepreneur who manufactures medical equipment, including masks. He also made a lot of money while actually he was supporting the humanitarian purpose. So as a trainer, you have actually shared, and this also helps us understand and value some of the small things, like just going out with friends and having a meal together, how much we value now, possibly which we normally have taken as a granted. Thank you, Sen. Anybody else would like to speak on this topic before we move on to the next?
Yes, I'll add something lighthearted to it. What I've learned from COVID, I've learned something. I learned that the whole world, everybody loves to queue. Serious, this is one thing I learned. I learned that people love to queue, and people have also learned to know how to queue. Let's go to how to queue first. They know social distancing. They don't need to queue 1 meter away from each other. No, in the past, people don't bother about queuing 1 meter away from each other. They snuggle to you, push at you. Right? No, nobody dare to push you. You've got the right to push people away, in fact, and say you're too close to me, too close for comfort, right? How about queuing? People just love to queue for everything. I don't know why. Some is by force. Some of them, they really enjoy queuing. Was by force or in order because of hospitals, people need to queue to see doctor, all that, right? But again, some people really love to queue. No, they queue for what? They queue for toilet paper. Wow, suddenly I discovered it's so important, people love to queue for it. Instant noodles, they queue for it. Awesome. Besides that, not a lot of people pick up this love learning to bake because they got so bored, nothing to do. And you know what happened? The supplier, I saw there's this place called Red Man, the place that sells all the confectionaries, ingredients, and all the bakers will go there. I never see the place got queue, you know. It's not everything is long queue. Not only that, what else? Food. I can see people order delivery, but then you know what's at the point where they collect all the food? Long queue of people doing delivery, picking up the orders to send to people, right? That on the virtual side, there's also group buy. People come together to amass together their mass orders and all that. But there's also queuing in some form because people come together, put in their orders, and someone must learn to queue the orders up so they can send the orders to other people. Fantastic. Well, we never know that queuing really become a national pastime. I think this is what I learned from it all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. That was really interesting. And I think one person who actually really related to your experience was Kapil from New Delhi. Possibly he knows actually how much queue and our people avoid queue, and now this has forced them to queue. Thank you, Jeff. Let us move on to the next topic. We have, I believe we have around 15 minutes time, and still a lot of us can speak. We have ample topics. So next topic, visionary like Lee Kuan can transform any nation. You may share your thoughts, whether you agree, you disagree, or any other thoughts on the point. Who would like to go first?
Visionary like Lee Kuan Yew can transform any nation. Good evening, Agora. I'm sure all of you all know that Lee Kuan Yew is the father of Singapore, and he is a visionary, but the question here is whether he can transform any nation. Let's go back to the years where Lee Kuan Yew was developing Singapore. We are very new. We are going through a lot of changes, and we are not developed at all. Visionary like Lee Kuan Yew can plot the path for us, the future, the building blocks, the steps that lead us to where we are today. But can he do the same for any other nation on earth? I'll say that is not true. Other nations that are developed already, maybe in Europe or America, they will not enjoy a smooth path, a ladder, the slope that Lee Kuan Yew gave us. They already started somewhere. And the jumps that they make in their development is exactly not the same as what Lee Kuan Yew can provide. Furthermore, the population will experience more stability than we have. We were going through changes. That's why Lee Kuan Yew can enforce us and encourage us and push us forward. For countries and nations that already are developed, they will have they are used to doing things a certain way, and they are more resistant to change. They won't be so forward-minded as Lee Kuan Yew, and they will not share the same vision that he has. So that's why we are very lucky to have Lee Kuan Yew here in Singapore in times of change where we needed him. But I don't believe that he can do the same for many other nations during that period of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jung Lim. Who else would like to speak on the topic?
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The President and the VPE. Visionaries like Lee Kuan Yew can transform any nation. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew was a great thinker. I had a friend who was a reporter, and he went to interview him, and he saw that Mr. Lee Kuan Yew used to have lots of foreign newspapers like the Times, the Economist, and all that in front of him. But right at the there was a board that was also in front of him, and he would paste the map of the whole world, the globe in front of him. And as he reads, he looks at the map. So this shows us that he was a very, very strategic thinker. However, one man alone cannot do everything. I believe that there were many other people, particularly a person like Goh Keng Swee, who was equally good, but they think and they did. For example, the SAF was developed by Goh Keng Swee. The orchestra was also developed by him. So he set the vision, but he didn't do it alone. And it is important to know, like just as in Agora, the importance of teamwork. No one person can do anything alone. There has to be this team that is willing to move ahead together with the leader. So many people respect Mr. Lee, but Mr. Lee didn't do everything himself. And as the previous speaker has mentioned, our nation was so small, all right, at that time, right? So lots of work could be done. But if you give Mr. Lee Kuan Yew right now, if he were alive, Indonesia, which are Asian islands, it would be extremely, extremely difficult for him to do what he did. So my conclusion is that he was a great leader at that right time for Singapore during our history, but he might not be able to do what he did in other countries, particularly bigger ones like Indonesia, even even Australia or the States itself. So that's my point of view. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Mary. Let us Mr. Charan.
I really respect Mr. Lee Kuan Yew. But besides Lee Kuan Yew, he had a good team. In the early days, there was a problem of communism. That was in the 60s. He was able to handle the Communist Party also. His wife was a great help for him. I mean, she was a lady who did not want to be, popular with the public, but she was a backbone for our Prime Minister. And I respect the lady because she didn't want to be, be in a public view, but she was able to guide not only Lee Kuan Yew, but also his team. Because they used to have the meetings in his house in Oxley. And she used to sometimes tell them this should not be done. Early days, they used to smoke during the meetings. And Mrs. Lee said, this is bad. Then they used a beer, says this is bad. So these are things that he guided him and his team. And Lee Kuan Yew was a very strict man. He didn't allow people to be corrupted and all that. One of his ministers even went to the big rest house in Changi called Changi Prison. And a few of them were asked to leave. So he was a man of discipline. At the same time, he respected the public, irrespective of race and religion. That is why our national anthem says so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let us conclude this part of today's impromptu speeches session. It was really good, especially people who are not scheduled to speak today, participated, volunteered, and of course we'll actually look forward even in the next session, even people who have not even spoken even single time, do come and put forth your views. They may be unstructured, they may not be properly thought through, but it's okay. That's what actually we learn. Thank you, Shona, and now it's over to you.
Yes. Let's give Costa a warm round of applause for selecting such a wide range of topics and on which we could have a meaningful exchange of ideas. And thank you, Sean, for helping Costa with the screen share. Now, so we have Chong Lim, who helped us with time this time. So he's currently working at Amgen, a pharmaceutical company in Tuas, making drugs to treat osteoporosis. Chong Lim was an essential worker during the circuit breaker time due to Amgen being a key economic sector. He has been attending Agora meetings since the club started about 3 years ago. Chong Lim has served in every role in Agora meetings, and he strongly encourages everyone to do the same. Today, he has kept the time for this segment, and I would like to invite Chong Lim to present the timer's report. Thank you.
Oh, hi everybody. So there was an allocated 30 minutes for this section, but I think since we started early, we gave it a little bit more. So we started about 6:45, and now we have ended about 7:25. So that max is about 40 minutes, if I'm doing that right. So yeah, good thing we started early, so we have more time for more speakers. Hopefully it will not snowball. So not to keep any more time, thank you, Shona. Back to you.
Thank you, Chong Lim, for that report. I'm glad to know that we are still on time. So before we move to the prepared speeches, let us see how we can be better prepared to give, to help the speakers with the feedback. So for each of the speeches that are going to come, we need 3 evaluators, and each of them are to share observations on specific area of the speech. Evaluator number 1 will focus on the speech purpose. He shall address these questions. What was the speech for? What was its purpose? Second one would be, what did the speaker want? Then thirdly, what did he promise? And what advice would you like to share with the speaker? For evaluator number 2, he will focus on alignment between opening and the closing. He shall address the following questions. What did the speaker say in his speech opening? And what did he say in his speech closing? Was the closing consistent with the opening? And what advice would you like to share with the speaker? And finally, for evaluator number 3, the focus will be on alignment between opening and the body. He shall address the following questions. What did the speaker promise us in his speech opening? And what did he provide in his speech body? Did the body provide what he promised in the opening? And what advice would you like to share with the speaker? So let's go on to the first prepared speech for the evening, and that is by Jonathan Yeo. He is a father blessed with 4 loving daughters and has a sense of curiosity for the world around. Before he stepped into the world of finance 19 years ago, he was satisfied with a comfortable job in supply operations within the oil and gas sector. That is when he discovered the cash flow quadrant and learned that remaining in the employed quadrant was a losing game. He experimented with different paths to build passive income, and after recovering with scars from leveraged trading, he settled into the world of property investing. Today, he coaches people not familiar with finance into the world of property investing by helping them sort out the good from the bad and the ugly, and building an income stream to replace their working income. He says that he's an ordinary guy who is on the quest to prove that property investing can build a multi-generation income. Costa, please note that the time allowed for the speech is 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, the green light will be flashed. At 6 minutes, the yellow, and at 7 minutes, the red light. At 7 minutes 30 seconds, the audio will be muted, and the speaker has to end the speech. Now, to introduce the topic, today, Jonathan Yeo wishes to speak to us on the topic, cash flow is king. Is cash really king? The global economy is mired in recession, and Singapore's unemployment is expected to hit to 4 to 5%, or as many as 100,000 unemployed by December 2020. Should investors abandon all assets at risk and simply hold on to cash until the green shoots of economic growth appear? Let's wait for Jonathan Yeo to share his 15 years of experience investing in shares to help us sort fact from fantasy. He will also go on to share 3 tips with us to help choose the good from the bad, and we are looking forward to Jonathan. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is cash king or cash flow king? Will $1 million in our bank really satisfy us and allow us to live the life that we want and still leave a legacy for our family? In the 21st century, we have so much data on our hands. At a touch of a fingertip, I can call up more data than what Ronald Reagan, Mikhail Gorbachev, and Deng Xiaoping had in the 1980s when they were at the peak of their powers. Yet, so many of us still fall into scams. Now, I just want to share a bit about my background, my family. Let me just share screen now. Can I share screen?
Yes, you are able to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I can't seem to share screen here at all. Okay. Now, let me just carry on. This is my background. Oh. Okay, this is my family. This is a bit of my background and where I'm coming from. I have fallen into many traps and quicksand ever since I read cash flow quadrant and decided to move away from the employment quadrant. And I have here to share with you 3 tips on how to build an income for yourself and for the generations after you and avoid all the traps. This is what keeps most of us up. And this survey was done this year in which we all had many of worries. If you notice, the first 3 all have money or rather the lack of money as a root cause. So this is what happens when we decide that we want to take action, but we don't do enough research. We don't do reviews. We get overwhelmed by emotions and we leave facts and data outside. Many of these victims here bought into promises of gold, of agar wood, of land to be developed in the UK, yet all came to naught. So how do we avoid the quicksand? This is the first tip I can share with you. Look at what is good, look at what is true, look at what is honest. This is the Singapore's sovereign wealth fund, Temasek Holdings, and you can see that it's very volatile. If you held it for 1 year, your returns could be as low as minus 30% or as high as 46%. But if you held it up to 10 years, it becomes lowest 6%, highest 9%. 20 years, it gets even better. So let's not just look at what Singapore is doing. Let's look at the University of Chicago, where there are buckets of Nobel Prize winners in economics, and let's see how they perform. This is what they have done so far. Again, you can see that their returns are maxed up about 9 to 10%. So what do you do when someone comes to you and says, I can guarantee you for 10, 15, or 20%? Well, think back to today, what I shared with you. This is a whole group of Nobel Prize winners in economics at the University of Chicago, and they advise their advisory board. So let me get back to this. They stick to regulated investments. They are time tested. They have lots of data to follow, and they are relatively boring investments. Nothing exciting that are touted as scams and which we fall into the quicksand of. Let's see what the second tip is. Being curious about property. We do know that property has stood the test of time, but you do know that if you move into the land of physical property, you are basically tied to these assets, which you can see here. Whereas if you look at something called REITs, R-E-I-T-S, Real Estate Investment Trusts, they give you leverage, they give you the diversity that a single property can't give you, and they also have liquidity. If we notice that there is an increasing trend of what we call cloud, the fact is cloud is actually still a physical body, physical location, and it's called a data center. So data centers are something that we can hold on to. And there are tenants in there. So REITs give you diversification outside what you can buy in a physical property. These are the various types of properties that you can access through property REITs. Obviously, hospitality looks really awful now under the COVID-19 pandemic, but there's nothing to say that you can't reposition hospitality into other purposes. And what about industrial? Are we not shopping more online? And where is the goods and services that we want to be stored and how they're delivered? So there are plenty of assets out there, REITs that we can access as well. And just ask your stockbroker how to get hold of these assets. Now that I've satisfied the curiosity, let's talk about what we should do. And the third point is that we can look at the data here. By the way, this is not a recommendation for you to buy or to sell anything. This is just an industrial REIT. It owns only industrial properties and it has some data centers in the United States. Look at, see how well it's done. It has given, since if somebody invested in this from the start in October 2010, you would get $147,000 if you start off with 100,000. 47% over 10 years is not too bad, including the 4% income you get a year. That's over 8% total return a year. Now, finally, call to action. It's up to you. I have shown you what to avoid in quicksand. What is an alternative that you can look into? Property. And all of us love property, but you have to choose the right properties. And the third is what you can do about it. It's up to you to take action. Thank you. And remember these things. Avoid the quicksand. Look at the good ones. Be curious and take action. Have a great evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Jonathan, for enlightening us on sharing us on to Jonathan. Could you present us with the timer's report?
Hi, Shona. Jonathan was given 7 minutes.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah. Jonathan was given 7 minutes and he took about 7.5 just before, but I was late in stopping the timer. So it's just under 7:30. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. That was a good speech. Back to you, Shona.
Thank you, Jonathan. So we move on to the evaluation. And we have 3 volunteers to provide feedback to Jonathan. And the time allowed for each, the green light will flash at 2 minutes, the yellow light, and at 3 minutes, the red. And there's an audio device that will sound at 30 minutes past 3, 30 seconds past 3. And the volunteer has to complete the feedback by then. Let's Mary soon. So Mary will be looking at the alignment between opening and the conclusion. Over to you, Mary.
Mary, unmute yourself, please.
Thank you very much. Jonathan, your topic, cash flow is king, cash is not king, and you started by talking about is cash king, and you talk about the 1 million, whether it's would satisfy us to have 1 million and to leave it as a legacy for the family. Then you went into the body where you developed about investing in property, particularly in REITs, R-E-I-T-S. Your ending was you called us to action on what would Singaporeans, you call us to action. Yeah, that was the end. Call us to action, and particularly on property. I felt that the alignment in terms of the beginning and the end, there is a slight discrepancy because I, not being an investor, I need to know the difference between cash and cash flow. So my understanding of cash flow is that the money that you already have, it turns into something better. It turns into something that you can make use of. So if I were in business, I am also a trainer in the sense, and sometimes when I have thought that money doesn't come in, then I have to pay the other people. So that is to me a sense of cash flow. But for you, cash flow means you must have this 1 million so that you can leave it for legacy. I think that is limited understanding. In your case, an understanding of cash flow means to have 1 million or more. So I would suggest, if I have to, because I'm supposed to give you some advice, to define what you mean by cash flow. So I would think that you mean cash flow means you must have 1 million and above so that you can pass it down to legacy. Or in the case that you already mentioned, if you wanted to invest in Temasek or some of the other other places that you mentioned, if you had started with 100,000, you would have 120 over a number of years. And that is the part where I find that a little bit difficult, because you already assume that people who want to invest will have the 100,000, right? Which is not necessarily the case. So maybe you need to talk about the different types of cash flow. And should somebody want to talk about property, then this will be one of the ways. So, but on the whole, I really enjoy, and I've learned something about REITs. And if I had 100,000, I would certainly think about which place to invest, but definitely not in Temasek. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much, Mary, for that. And now we have Kapil Chawla, and he will be speaking to us about the alignment between opening and body. Over to you, Kapil.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with your background first and your confidence. Like, two things were right, and I really appreciate like the things you were trying to project. Like, as an investor, you are a learned investor, so you had all those books, and your confidence was brilliant. Now coming to the alignment part, like I understand you kept you tried to keep the subject very clear and crisp, but I think it was not possible for you to explain what cash flow meant. I could have done it very differently, because your audience, which you're were trying to portray your message, was not clear. Like, I think it would have been better if you would have kept it more simpler. So at the end, cash flow equating to REITs, getting from cash flow to REITs, did not match my expectation. You could have explained what is cash and then what is cash flow, and then you try to introduce new concept, REITs. Not many people know about REITs, that is real estate investment trusts. They are a fairly new concept for a layman. I know they've been in existence for a long time, but they are very, it's like mutual funds have become popular, but REITs throughout the world are still not that popular. So it's still becoming popular. So that you have a lot of content, and I really appreciate that as a investor, you were forthright in accepting that you had certain failures also. Investment is all about gains, profit, and losses as well. So you accepted that, which was good. you had a lot of content, but putting all that content on slides is not a good idea. So I would advise, like, if you can put less content on the slide and speak to the audience so that they can get easily what you're trying to say. That's my thing. And I in the final, I again would suggest that if it's possible for you to connect your starting with the end, it was slightly missing on my part. Like, I couldn't understand what you're trying to connect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kapil, for that. And now it's time to move on to the second speech, the second prepared speech. And do remember about the feedback to the speech that we need to prepare for. So the evaluator number 1 will be focusing on the purpose of the speech, and evaluator number 2 on alignment between opening and conclusion, and the third evaluator on the alignment between opening and body. And this is available in the chat as well. So our second prepared speech speaker is Alfred Ang. Alfred Ang wishes to develop a community knowledgeable about sustainable food culture and where he can promote good health and great taste. He connects producers of different food products to our community so that we could learn and enjoy delicious, healthy food without having to go abroad. He is also a firm believer that food culture is not only about taste, but also about feeling, looks, and the manner in which we enjoy our food. He realizes that great relationships often grow with good food and drink. He got the opportunity to find out about different Japanese products, and which is considered to be one of the popular, tasty, and healthy food in the world when he was studying in Japan. Studying and visiting Japan. His area of business is the supply and retail of Japanese food and beverage products. With more than 30 years of experience working with the producers from different parts of Japan and bringing their best products into our community, Alfred Ang is the right person to speak to us on the topic today about my journey with Japanese food. Please give Alfred Ang a warm applause and welcome him to speak about this topic. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Friends of Agora, my name is Alfred Ang. My job is to help to inspire our community to develop a knowledgeable and sustainable food culture of promoting good health in great taste. Today, I would like to share with you my journey and passion with Japanese food. I learned from the Japanese that food culture is not only the taste, but the feelings, looks, and the manners we have with our food. I also believe that good food and drinks plays an important role in building a good relationship. In 1984, I had an opportunity to go to Tokyo to study the Japanese language for a year, with the intention of further my studies there. But unfortunately, I had to come back after the language course due to some financial difficulties. So when I was in Tokyo, due to the high cost of living, I had to work part-time in the Japanese restaurant, Juraku, located next to the Ueno station, every day after my school from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. as the kitchen helper. One of the culture shock I had there was to see the chef slapping hard on the heads of the cooks whenever they made a mistake. But luckily, I was spared. Maybe I was the only foreigner there with a little Japanese knowledge, and the chef was kind to me. This was the first place I had the experience seeing how Japanese food were prepared, and I learned the importance of the food presentation. That 1 year in Japan had helped me build some good networks and better understanding of the Japanese work and social cultures, which helped me a lot in my present business. After my return to Singapore, I worked in a food wholesale company supplying products to the Japanese restaurants and supermarkets. Until the year 2000, I started my own general trading company. But during this period, I was able to engage with more Japanese food ingredients and dishes, which improved my knowledge of Japanese food products further. So in the year 2016, actually I met my present business partner, Okada Yoshiko, who is the third generation owner of Okada Coffee Kumamoto. So when I visited her shops in Kumamoto, I was very inspired by her business concept of producing her own original products to her own outlets and her management style of unconditional sharing of her business ideas and recipes to all her staff, and also trying her best to serve her customers with the best possible products and services. So when she decided to set up the business here, and with our common goal of having a place where we can bring together our community to enjoy, network, and learn of the Japanese culture, we joined hands immediately without hesitation. We also aim to help those who are not so privileged to be able to enjoy and experience the Japanese food culture by providing free workshops and events at their premises. So today I would also like to share with you some characteristics of a Japanese cafe. Modern Japanese cafe usually serve the hand-drip coffee as compared to the Western cafe which serves coffee by the machine. This coffee culture is derived from the tea drinking culture, where they want the customers to enjoy the original taste of every ingredient. So the three main factors determining the good brew are the freshness of the beans, the water temperature, and the flow of the drip. As for the food, Japanese cafe usually serve a Western Japanese food. The common food are hamburger, sandwiches, and Japanese curry dishes. So the difference between the Japanese curry and our Indian, Malay, or the Chinese curry is that Japanese curry tend to be more aromatic, thick, and less spicy. So even the children and the elderly can enjoy. As for desserts in Japan, they are comparatively sweeter than in Singapore, because most Japanese do not add sugar to their coffee or tea, whereas we drink more sugary drinks here. So this creates a good balanced taste. And as Japan has 4 seasons, the desserts are also produced according to the fruits or vegetables available during that particular season. So I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to our cafe, Okada Coffee and Sweets, for a relaxing moment. We are located in a charming Juchet area where you can find many beautiful architectures of Peranakan cuisines and cultures. And there's a big URA car park behind our shop, and no worry about parking problem. And I hope I can have a chance to personally hand drip a coffee for you too. Thank you so much. I'll see you again.
Thank you very much, Alfred. We really enjoyed listening to you talking about that, and definitely Okada Coffee and Sweets is on my list to visit. Thank you. And Chonglim, will you help me with the timers report, please? With the report.
Hi, Shona. Alfred kept it nice, short and sweet. Haha, short and sweet. At about 5 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yes.
So good job, Alfred. Enjoyed your speech very much. Thank you again.
Thank you. And I was for a moment thinking that we have gone past 8 o'clock, Mr. Gay. So then, anyway, back to the evaluators now. So we have Mike Nicholson here to give us the feedback on being the first evaluator. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you very much. Let's give Alfred a round of applause. It was a fantastic speech. It really whetted my appetite. It was fantastic. So what did he have as a purpose? He wanted to show us and to promote good health in food, and also to share information about his Okada coffee shop. Let's all go there when the COVID virus pandemic has passed us by. So what was the journey he had experienced? it sounded as if it was a little bit cut short by doing the language training, working in the kitchen, but then not actually doing what you really went to Japan to do. I would probably have kept quiet and been a bit dishonest, but just gloss over that. What did the speaker want? Basically, he wanted us to know more about Japanese food and drinks, and also how he developed his network in Japan. And he's now developed that network to an extent where he set up his own business with Japanese imports into his coffee shop. So that was really good. He also shared with us, a lot of information about curries not being too spicy, much more aromatic. They're much more suitable for old people like me and children who don't like spicy. But he went on to desserts. I like sweet, as you can tell from my massive physique. But again, less sugar is something that we should all be going for. I'm getting to the stage now where I've not been out of my house for, I don't know, 4 months nearly, and I'm not sure that I will get through the door. So I need to eat less. So that was a good advice for me. So what did Alfred provide? Basically, a lot of knowledge about his experience in Japan, what he picked up, and what benefits it basically can be for us. Sorry. Sorry, going musical interlude. So what we should be doing as a speaker, obviously, is giving some value to the audience, and Alfred definitely did that. So that was really good. Advice for Alfred, I think being on Zoom is very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do without training. And that's one of the great things I think about having Zoom meetings. We learn how to use Zoom, and this is going to be the future. This is the new norm. I think a lot of companies will be using Zoom in the future. So let's all get used to it. The thing that really could be improved was eye contact. Yeah, you were looking down. I'm not sure that you were using notes, but you were looking down. If you look at your screen on your computer, you have a dot light, and next to it you have the camera. And if you look at the camera, then you're making eye contact with the audience. So yeah, spend some time actually looking above the pictures that you see on the screen at the camera. You get more connection with the people. The other thing I would suggest is use slideshow mode for your presentation, your PowerPoints. You had too many distractions on the left-hand side, and add a little bit more enthusiasm. Food is a glorious topic. Yeah, so get into it. Well done, Alfred. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for that evaluation. And now over to Casey Chen. He's the second evaluator, and he will be focusing on the alignment between opening and conclusion. Over to you, Casey.
Hi, Alfred. I want to say well done for your speech. For the first time to speak in Agora, it doesn't look like it. And really, really good. Well done. Okay. Now for your opening, I really like your opening because it gives us prepared that, oh, you went to Japan, and Japan is a very loved country. We all, especially for Singaporeans. But because you have 7 minutes, you only use up like 5.5 minutes. Probably it's good to show some places you went in Japan, especially you younger time. So it gives people a kind of connections of your opening. Why are you in Japan? So when I compare to your closing, it's definitely really good when you close with desserts, you close with food. That's also another favorite of our Singaporeans. And if you're going to show us more food, same as like the opening, a little bit more pictures to describe. Since you have a period of time, right? 2 minutes, you can actually show more and present more. And you can dig it into your cafe menu. That's how I would see your body. Your body is actually good, very good. Talking about your experiences and stuff, because I see that your purpose is to tell people about what you have done finally, to call to action to invite people to your cafe. So that is where your body is enough. It's just that you can spend more time in the closing where show more of your food. Your speech tone is perfect. I like what Mike has just said. Probably a few more practices and speak more in Agora, you definitely get to the perfection. And thank you very much, Alfred. I really love your speech and well done. Thank you.
Thank you so
Back
much.
to you, Suana.
Thank you, Casey. Now we have the third evaluator, who is Sean Tan, and he will be focusing on the alignment between opening and body. Over to you, Sean.
Hi, thank you. Alfred, that was a nice speech. I'll tell you a secret. I told Casey I'm volunteering to be the evaluator for this topic because I love Japanese food. Okay, now I'm supposed to evaluate you with your opening and your body alignment. The opening was good. I like that you set the stage about inspiring. Your promise to us was to inspire us to eat healthily and sustainable food, and especially Japanese food. So that was your opening promise to us, and I was looking forward to it. In the body, you took us on a journey of your journey in Japan, how you went to study, end up working in a Japanese restaurant. You slowly immersed yourself in the culture, you understood their culture. And when you had to come back, you took back a lot of that culture and that knowledge with you. And you started to a business in providing supplies to Japanese restaurants before eventually meeting your partner. So all that was good, and then you showed us some nice photos. Eventually, you took us from Japan, Tokyo, all the way to Juche, your cafe. And you mentioned something about the Hendrick coffee. Now, that reminded me of a movie I watched, a Japanese movie. I do not know if you know this movie. It's called Cafe Funichula. Do you know that?
No.
There's a very special cafe where the patrons go down. When they sit down there, and when the server starts dripping the coffee, they will go back in time to a time that they want to be. And there is their chance to correct whatever regrets they had. It was a beautiful movie. By the time the coffee finished dripping, they must come back to the reality. Otherwise, they'll be stuck in that era forever. So go and find this movie. So anyway, I like your part about that coffee and then the desserts and all that. They all ended well. Now, advice for you is appeal more to the emotions. Okay, food is a very emotional thing. Nice pictures, improve your PowerPoint, make it more colorful, make it more striking. It is your prop. If it's gonna be there, make it worth it, make it powerful. Okay, aid you in your presentation. That's one thing. Secondly is appeal to the emotions. All right, instead of just stating the facts. You obviously are very knowledgeable in this topic. You have a lot of knowledge, a lot of passion for it. Now, go for the killer. There is one saying that says, sell the sizzle, not the bacon. You understand it? Sell the sizzle, not the bacon. Nobody is interested in the bacon. They want the sizzle, the smell of the coffee, the taste of the dessert, right? And overall, it was a good informative speech, not quite inspiring, but enough for us to have an interest in Japanese language, Japanese food, and Japanese culture, and eating more conscientiously, and obviously to visit Juche and try your Hendrick coffee. Thank you, Alfred. Nice speech. Nice speech. I like it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. So we had a wonderful first half now that was entertaining, interesting, and just we all felt like a family discussing culture, food, cash, everything, and even becoming shoes and the window for a minute from the beginning. So thank you for a wonderful first half. And one thing I suddenly realized today, All the prepared speeches are by speakers who are speaking at Agora for the first time as prepared speakers. So looking forward to the second half also. I think it's time for a coffee break. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all back again. So going to the second half. So let's go on to our third speaker of the evening. That's Albert Smith. Albert Smith is the founder and head trader of SoGrow, a financial services firm based in Bergenfield, New Jersey. Mr. Smith is a foreign currency trader, money manager, and forex coach, and is solely responsible for the trading decisions, solicitation of new clients, and approval of all sales and marketing materials for SoGrow. Besides the forex market, Albert is a gathered that much from the talks we've had before. We've all realized that. Now, Chong Lim, do note that the time is 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, the green light will be flashed on the screen. At 6 minutes, the yellow light, and at 7 minutes, the red light. At 7 minutes and 30 seconds, the audio will be muted and the speaker has to end the speech. Now, going on to the topic, he's going to talk about something very interesting about gifts. To give you an idea, who here would like to have more money? Who in here is still trying to solve the mystery of increasing your earnings? How much do you deserve to make per year? As you think about these questions, imagine that you are a farmer. No productive farmer plants a seed in the ground today and expects that same seed to provide fruit a day later. But rather, any experienced farmer knows that it requires skill and patience to grow a harvest. In tonight's talk, Albert Smith will challenge you to change your focus from instant gratification to patience in nurturing your innate gifts and talents, and build your brand and value as a subject matter expert. Friends, let's welcome Albert Smith to speak to us on the topic, refining your gifts.
Some things in life are free, and some things come with a price. I like all of us to imagine ourselves walking along a sandy shore of a beach or an ocean. And what do you see? You can look out, you see the horizon. You can see the sand or feel the sand under your feet. You see people sitting, enjoying themselves and the waves of the ocean, all beautiful things. And these are things that are free to observe. You can watch a beautiful sunset. You can breathe in nice, fresh air. These are all beautiful things that we can experience. And then there's other things in life that come with a price. Perhaps you like to buy a nice home with a nice white picket fence, beautiful grass. You like to have a nice luxury car or maybe jewelry, even to provide food or to pay for utility bills. There are things that are free in life, and there are certain things that come with a price. Well, Agora, we admire people and businesses who do great things to make our world beautiful. These are people who are patient, who work hard at changing our world. They develop their unique gifts and their talents. And if they're successful, these are people who are handsomely rewarded for their contributions. We have people who come to mind, whether they're entertainers. For me, I'm always fascinated by the accomplishments of, let's say, our late Mr. Kobe Bryant, who I've heard was a hard worker. He trained a lot. to become the person, the basketball player that he had become. Or we can admire the paintings of Picasso or the music of Mozart. These are people who spent a lot of time working on their craft and building their brand or their business. You can even think about the success of Amazon. I've listened to stories of Jeff Bezos and how he's worked hard to change the world. And we admire these type of people. But then we also have people who are only focused on how they can make money. They're focused so much on making money that they avoid or they neglect the most valuable part of their lives, which is their unique gifts and talents. One thing that comes to mind is the housing market in America before the 2008 crash. I'm telling you, there were so many people that were realtors who only took that career path because they thought it could make a lot of money. They were not interested per se in providing quality service and really offering a product or service that would satisfy their client. Their main objective was, I'm taking this career path as a realtor because it pays a lot of money. And of course, we all know what happened when the housing market crashed. All those persons you couldn't find anymore. There's one person that continued to be a realtor that I knew after the crash, and that's because this person had a gift and a passion for the housing market. And as you may expect, he is going on to build a very successful realtor business. Well, you may ask, well, how do I know what is the right career path to take? How do I know what I should do? And I have a good answer for that, I believe. Number one, you should look for taking a career path or a job that you would do regardless of a paycheck. Think about the things you would do if you had received a check or not. Think about the things when you were a child, what really took your attention, which gave you, which inspired you. So for example, I love public speaking. I love teaching. I love counseling and helping people. I love business. And those are things I would do regardless of whether I got paid or not. So you should look inside, my suggestion, for those traits that come natural to you and focus on delivering those talents and gifts to the world. Well, another way that you can determine what is that valuable thing inside of you is you can ask what other people say about you. So if I was to ask 10 people who know you very well, what would they say about you? What would they say is your unique gifts and talents? I actually have somebody in my family who desires to be a singer, and she works hard at singing. The only challenge though is if you ask people around her, they don't think that she has the capacity or the skill to be a great singer. And so sometimes we may have a biased opinion of ourselves, but if you ask the people around you, they could help direct you to where you should go to find that pot of gold. Now, the reality is, whatever gift you decide to have, you will pay a price to develop it. It will take a lot of work. You'll make mistakes. You may go down, you may find obstacles that you'll have to overcome. It will be challenging at times. Sometimes you may feel like quitting, but you have to know that if you continue to go forth and develop these skills that you have and the talents, it will be worth your effort. Remember, a diamond is made through pressure. It's made from coal that's crushed and goes through a process. of being developed and being formed. What starts out as ashes and just a mineral or coal, through pressure, ends up becoming a beautiful diamond. And the same thing with yourself. You will go through things in order to bring out that best within yourself. Shauna talked about the beginning about a farmer. What I'd like you to imagine is that you are a farmer and there's a valuable part of yourself that you're trying to produce. Imagine yourself a tree. You will plant yourself into your career path, into what you're trying to accomplish. It takes time for the root structure to go into the ground. It takes time watering and nurturing whatever that beautiful part of you is. And one day you may see something surface from the ground, a green flower, plant, whatever it is. But in time, it grows. It grows into a beautiful tree. And that tree provides the beautiful fruit that you will use to share with the world. Your fruit will be that gift. Overcoming all those challenges, your fruit will be that gift that affords you the pleasures of life. Thank you, Shauna.
Thank you so much, Albert. And thank you, Agora, for again, once again, such a beautiful place this is with all the precious gems here, I guess. That's what's coming to my mind now. Now, time for evaluation. So we have 3 minutes for each volunteer. At 1 minute, the green light will be flashed. At 2 minutes, the yellow light. And at 3 minutes, the red light will flash. The audio sound device will sound at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and the volunteer has to complete this feedback then. We have Rehana Abdullah to give us the first evaluation. Her focus will be on the purpose of the speech. Thank you, Rehana.
Hi, Albert. Thank you so much for the speech. And I know you had you wanted to tell us so many things about refining your gift, and I'm sure you have many lots of things to say, and I really wanted to listen a lot more. But due to time constraint, I know you had to cut it down. It was a beautiful speech. You gave a lot of examples, and you gave a lot of different examples about what our gift can do for the world. However, I would like to say I think there were far too many examples, but they were not really related in some way. And that you gave an example about the farmer, about skill and patience. And then you also gave an example about the realtors that were out of job after the problems, and then there was only this one realtor who managed to build a business. I was waiting to hear what was his gift. Actually, I was trying to figure out what was his gift that made him so successful that he could continue building a bigger business. So I was waiting for that, but I didn't get to hear about that. And also you mentioned a lot of examples. So I would say stick to just one or two examples, and then really stress on the point about that. That would make your speech a little bit more, will push the point out very clearly to the audience. Because you have so many examples, people are trying to figure out which example. You didn't go much deep into the example, so it was difficult for us to understand whether the example connected with us. So if you give too many examples, that will make it difficult for us. If you give one or two but very powerful examples and went deep into it, and I think that will make a difference to the person receiving your message. So it was a good speech. You spoke well, and you were clearly very in tune to that speech. And I really believe that you are very passionate about what you're saying, and I appreciate that speech. Thank you so much from my part.
Thank you, Rehana. And we have our second evaluator, who is Betty Kyo, and she will be focusing on the alignment between opening and conclusion. Over to you, Betty.
Yes, congratulations, Albert, for the very inspiring speech. Okay, what did the speaker say in his opening? Albert, you speak a lot of things on basically two things, what is free and what is not free. You give a very beautiful, to bring the audience into the beautiful ocean, fresh air, things which are you can enjoy free, like beautiful sunset. So all you bring us, really have a good start. And you also mentioned that the other thing is some things comes with a price. Okay, yeah. So it gets the audience very excited because this is the reality of life. Yeah. And you also speak you speak very slowly, but with a lot of conviction, and you bring the audience in. You bring our emotions out. Am I making the right? Am I doing the right decision of making a career? Yeah, so that was very good. Okay, next, what did the speaker say in his closing? In the closing, you speak about the farmer, you speak about the tree being growing, and I like that phrase where you say the tree becomes a beautiful fruit where you share it, you could share it with the world. That was very powerful. Yeah. But if you can give your own personal story about it, I think that will be more impactful. Was the closing consistent with the opening? Yes, you are talking about career decision, that you should not just work and to make money like many people do. You should work as though, regardless of the paycheck. It's a beautiful thing, right? But how practical it is. Yeah. So if you could share just one simple illustration to illustrate this, I think it will become more powerful, more impactful for people to think, oh, I really have to make a decision right now. Otherwise, after hearing your speech, I will still go on to make more money for myself. Yeah. Overall, it's an awesome speech. I like the way you deliver your speech. It's very clear. Your message is very clear, and you are always smiling. So that is a very good thing. Please keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Betty, for that. And now we have Dennis on to give us the third evaluation, where the focus will be on alignment between opening and body.
Okay. Hi, Albert. So I really liked your speech a lot. Like, I like the way that, you had very good pacing. And I also enjoyed like the way you basically brought out everything, because it felt like the whole thing was flowing very naturally, and you still managed to link it to what Shauna said. So it really felt like I'm just listening to a story at the same time I'm like receiving a lot also. So let me look at the question. So okay, the introduction, right? I felt that it was really quite good. Like the way that you say, you started off with like some things in life are free but others aren't. So it really started to make us think more. And also before that, Shauna also did like an introduction of what you will be sharing. So it's like kind of like a change from instant gratification to patience. So I think that's also part of the promise that the speech was supposed to deliver. So this one, I felt that the speech was partly delivered, like it was not fully delivered in a sense, because okay, first part is like you share about the imagining part, then later you went on to asking the questions. So I think maybe the questions part were not as fitting as compared to like the start and the end, because those parts are more like finding your gift rather than refining your gift, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I think that is one thing that is also like an advice on how we can improve the speech better. Then on the other hand, I really enjoyed like the entire process also, because okay, it's like we have to see what is in our life and what we really enjoy also before we, you know, we begin to think like, what exactly will our gift be, and so are we really willing to put in the time and effort to be, you know, refined, to be pressured, then we can finally get this big gift in the end. Yeah, so I think basically, yeah, your body did try to invoke this kind of thinking, this kind of idea, so that, you know, we can eventually really refine our gift. So overall, I just want to say that it's a really good job, really good speech. I really hope that like I could continue hearing you talk because it was really interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. If I may say something, I was just the way Albert opened this talk by saying some things come free and some things come with a price. And then he ended up, I mean, throughout the speech, what he was trying to also say was, when you do something that you love, you also, in a way, are enjoying things that are free, freely available. That's because those are things so you that you really begin to enjoy life, and actually it comes with a price probably, but whatever it is the analogy of the tree, that how just that finally by doing what you love to do, you grow and you grow rich, and the fruits are there for everyone. I thought what a beautiful picture Albert managed to paint in all our minds. Thank you very much for that. Thanks. Now, let's go to the special training by Mr. Gay Van Peng, which we are all looking forward to very eagerly. So, as we all know, he's our very own president, and he's the one behind Agora, who's the one bringing all of us together, meeting after meeting, and just the person behind all of this. He has 35 years of success, helping thousands of people around the world project the correct personal brand image. Van Peng served as the chief trainer for an international organization for communication and leadership training. He traveled extensively to conduct training in Hong Kong, Macau, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand. The students were able to effectively apply their awesome personal brand to become the best sales team in the world. He's a recipient of many distinguished service awards. On Friday, the 17th of August 2007, in front of a global audience at the JW Marriott Desert Ridge Resort in Phoenix, Arizona, USA, Van Peng was presented the Presidential Citation for his dedication and contribution to the growth and development of the international organization. Now, to Chong Lim, please note that the time allowed for the speech is 15 minutes. At 13 minutes, the green light will be flashed. At 14 minutes, the yellow light. And at 15 minutes, the red light. And at 15 minutes, 30 seconds, the audio device will sound and the speaker has to end his speech. Friends, let's welcome Mr. Gay Van Peng to give us the training on the topic, the fact-finding report.
My friends, what is wrong with the world today? Madman in the White House? Thank you. Chinese virus? Global warming? Thank you. All wrong. I will present my fact-finding report. The title of this report is The 300-Year Cycle. Can you remember what happened in the year on 8 March 1917? Russian Revolution. Where did it start? What happened? Have you been to St. Petersburg, the beautiful place? It was called. That's where the people protested and they rebelled. At that time, the Romanov dynasty Russia for 300 years. And the Tsar at the time was Nicholas II. And they were having a great time. Can you remember Catherine the Great and Rasputin? They were all together having a great time, enjoying luxury while the people starved. And it was a great battle between the capitalists who own the factories and the technology and the working class who have just emerged from the feudal system, from being peasants and slaves to the landlord, now being working class, workers and slaves or industrialists. The problem is 95% of the land and the wealth was concentrated in the hands of the nobleman, the king, the Tsar, and the nobleman, and the capitalists. The people were hungry, they were suffering, the rich were enjoying a great life. And then came along this man called Vladimir Lenin. Can you remember Lenin? He gave them a vision. He gave them purpose. He gave them how the entire population rose against Tsar. And eventually they are dedicated, but they killed the entire family. They shot the entire family, including Catherine, including all the children. Wealth was concentrated in the hands of the few, and the rest of the population suffered. Can you remember what happened on 10th October 1911? Anyone? Chinese Revolution. The Qing dynasty, the Manchus, had ruled China for 300 years. Remember 300 years? Romanov ruled Russia for how many years? 300 years. Right? And again, the people were suffering for many reasons, including the foreign power, Japan, France, Britain, America, colonizing chunks of the land. And there are places where Chinese and dogs are not allowed to go in. How would you feel as a Chinese in China at that time? On top of that, the poor and the noble people have the wealth concentrated in their hands. They were enjoying. And what happened? Who came along? Dr. Sun Yat-sen. He mobilized the people, he gave a vision, and the people rebelled. And Emperor Puyi, remember the movie Emperor Puyi, the child emperor? He abdicated, and Sun Yat-sen became the first president of the People's Republic. Remember 300 years, and that this rebellion and the world order for China changed. Now, can you remember 14 July 1789? What happened? The storming of the Bastille in Paris. What is the Bastille? Bastille is a big building. It's an armory where the weapons are stored for the army. It's a political prison where people who oppose the king are locked up. It's a fortress. It's in the middle of Paris. And what happened at that time? Again, the kings and noblemen and feudal lords have ruled the country for how many years? 300 years. And what happened? They were having a great time. They were partying while the peasants were hungry, were suffering. And what happened? They, of course, they were frustrated, were angry, they were and weapons. They arise because they are so angry, so hungry, and they succeeded. And who arose after that? Napoleon Bonaparte. He was a product of French Revolution. And he again brought France up to glory days. In fact, he became the greatest leader in the world of his time. He conquered big chunks of Europe. And what was the underlying problem? Wealth concentrated in the few. The peasants were hungry, the peasants were suffering, while the noblemen, the feudal lords, they were having a wonderful time. Those are my fact-finding report. Now, third one is, can you remember what happened on 26 July 1953? Anyone? Albert Smith, that was very near to home.
Korean War? Korean War?
Cuban Revolution. Cuba is a very, very long history. In 1492, 500 years before the Cuban Revolution, Christopher Columbus colonized Cuba for the Spanish government. Eventually, the fate of the Cuban people is left in the hand of the colonizers. Cuba negotiated a deal with Britain to solve some problem, and then it became a British colony. And the Cuban people has no say. The deal with American colony, the Cuban people. In 1902, finally, after a long struggle, the independence from America, they had election. The elected president was overthrown by military coup. And who came up? The military dictator, can you remember the name? Fulgencio Batista. If you hear the name Batista, you will know it's the guy who was finally overthrown by the rebellion. Who led the rebels to overthrow Batista? Albert, you must know. Unmute yourself, tell me.
Castro?
Fidel Castro, you are right.
Oh, yeah.
And who is, sorry?
No, I'm glad I'm right.
You are right. See, I know, I look at you, I know you're so clever, Ben. How can you not know this one? Right? Okay, and who, okay, now tell me, who is Fidel Castro was an activist. He's a mobilizer. Who is a philosopher behind him? Who gave him the vision, the ideal? Can you tell me?
Che Guevara?
Che Guevara. Che Guevara was the one who gave the vision of communism. They read about Karl Marx. The same way, behind Lenin, they give Lenin to sell to the people. That we press a reset button. It is and read in and that's when the sun also start. Chairman Mao, the first chairman of the wealth is accumulated in the hands of the few. It is abused. Che Guevara played the role of Karl Marx. For Karl Marx give the ideology, the philosophy, so that Lenin can move the people, give direction and purpose, and make them feel very emotional, because then they will die for the revolution, because now there's a bright future. They can become their own boss. They can own their own land. They don't need to be slaves as the factory worker for the capitalists anymore. Same thing happened in Cuba. Okay, Cuba, Che Guevara was the one who explained the Karl Marx thing and to the people and whatever. And Fidel Castro, Fidel Castro is also well versed in Karl Marx theory, but he's not such a great thing in that area. So Che Guevara have him mobilize the people. Okay. Now Mao Zedong is also that. Mao Zedong is a Leninist. He followed Lenin. Okay. That's why at first America, Western country, they hate China because Leninists believe in spreading communism all over the world. They want the whole world to be communist. Whereas when Deng Xiaoping took over, he didn't want that. He said, no, our model is only good for China. Let us stick to China. We don't have to export communism. The story is 300 years, but American one, Cuba is a little bit complicated. It took 500 years because it started from the Spanish and everything like that. Okay. So what can we, what is the finding of this fact-finding report? Anyone want to help me?
Mr. Gay.
Unmute everyone, please.
Through a cycle, there's a cycle.
3 minutes.
What can you find from this report? What are the key findings?
Inequality breeds resentment and leads to revolution.
No. When wealth is in...
First finding is every 300 years.
No.
Every 300
no matter
years.
what system you have, feudal system, industrial system, now we are in the what do you call that? Second, third industrial revolution. Each time a new world order is established, 300 years later, somebody gained the system. And those who excel in the system, they accumulate all the wealth. It's like playing mahjong, play poker, play whatever game. A few who are very good will win all the money. Basically, is after 300 years, wealth accumulated in the hands of the few. And then the few will enjoy great life, the rest will suffer. You can see that even in America today. Yeah, they control the political machinery, they control the power and the Wall Street and everything. So those who are not in the power, you suffer, is too bad. Right? Okay, now, what other findings can you find? The transition to a new world order is very violent. People die. Many others suffered. Do you see that happening now? Yes. People are starving, people are hungry, people are angry. And what is that Mr. Floyd name really?
George.
The one who died, killed by the in Minneapolis.
George.
Right? Why was there a sudden rioting and all the chaos and fighting and arson and looting? Is it because of one man died? Of course it is. But what's the underlying problem? Poverty, hunger, disrespect. So they only need the spark. And once there's a spark, the whole thing ignites. So the world today is like all of us sitting in a small room filled with powder kegs of gunpowder, and there are sparks flying all over. That's what is happening to us now. And the moment the spark land on the gunpowder, the whole room will explode. That's where we are now. So what is the conclusion from this finding? What difference does it make to you whether or not I did the research, whether or not I presented my findings to you on this 300-year cycle? Be prepared for a very violent time, very uncertain time. People will die. People will riot. People will rebel. They are no more coming out with hoes and pitchforks. People are coming out in America. I heard there are people with assault rifles and even bombs. And that's not only in America. The Muslim terrorists, remember? They got a lot of arms. What about freedom fighters all over the world? they will rebel. It's not only happening in America or in Philippines or in China or Macau, Hong Kong. You remember Hong Kong? It's not because of the extradition treaty, but the people are angry. They are marginalized. They are suffering. Those in power didn't help them. So that is a conclusion that be very, very careful. Be prepared for many, many more years before a new world order is settled. At the meantime, stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So Sean Tate is going to conduct the test for today. Sean is a power financial servicing consultant with AIA. He graduated from NTU with a bachelor in. Sean is a power financial servicing consultant with AIA. He graduated from NTU with a bachelor in material science and engineering. He specializes in health insurance and legacy planning, ensuring that his clients' families will not have to worry financially in the event of need. Having been in the industry for more than 4 years and being one of the top apprentice consultants in his agency, he has assisted more than 250 families in managing their finances better, protecting their assets, and leaving a legacy for their loved ones. In addition, he is the founder of YEMG, Young Entrepreneurs Meetup Group. A few of us are all members of it, of this little group. He leads this group of entrepreneurs and empowers them to understand the issues facing entrepreneurs. He also explores solutions and best practices with them. The group aims to support the member in their entrepreneurial success. So we already know that the speeches will be a waste of time if we cannot remember what the speakers presented, if we cannot understand the presentation, and if we do not believe the speakers. And the speakers can't improve when feedback to the speakers was not understood and when the speakers cannot remember the feedback. So the purpose of the test is to discover whether we learned something tonight. So today's is a 10-minute segment. So we have the green light at 8, the yellow at 9, and the red light at 10. So over to you, Sean.
All right. Thank you very much, Shona, for the warm introduction. Okay, so I believe everyone knows what's the purpose of having a test, right? Right, okay. So all the speakers, including all of us, if we had put in so much time to prepare the speech, if at the end of the day, the audience does not remember, no, okay, that's a fail. Okay, then for the audience, it's also the same thing. If the speakers have prepared for so much for their speech, but if we do not listen, we do not remember, okay, at the end of the day, it's still a waste of time. All right, so before I were to start the session on being the test master, let me share with you a story, okay, my own personal story. While I was preparing this segment, right, okay, it reminds me of back then when I was in secondary school. Because I do not like to be called upon, so most of the time, right, I'll be sitting at the back, at the corner, and when teachers would ask for questions, right, yeah, then I'll try to hide myself. But as much as I try to sit as far away from the teacher as possible, right, at the end of the day, I'm still being called upon. Do you guys know why? No? Okay. Actually, the logic is very simple. Because at the end of the day, when the teacher asks a question, nobody answers too. So automatically, the teacher will always choose the furthest one behind. All right? So what is the moral of this story? Okay, the moral of this story is, later as I was giving a test, be enthusiastic. Whether you know or you don't know the answer, raise up your hand first. After raising your hand, you're being called upon, you will know the answers. All right, okay, so first question on opening address. Do you guys know who is the one who gave the opening address for tonight?
Casey.
Casey.
Yes, Casey.
I heard Rihanna.
No, Casey.
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 Okay. Did anyone remember what is the example? Okay, what's the life story that he gave during his opening address?
Parachuting experience.
Okay, fantastic.
Wow, parachuter.
So what is his point of his what was his point of sharing this story?
Practice, practice,
must
practice.
You must train.
Yes, correct. Okay, practice, 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 and training.
Unconscious competence, as Anne-Marie taught me just recently, it's called unconscious. Am I correct, Anne-Marie?
Unconscious.
Is Anne-Marie with us tonight?
Yeah, I just learned this from her 2 days ago.
Okay.
Conscious competence.
Yes, correct. Okay. So far, this class very attentive, huh? All right, next. Can someone tells me who is the impromptu speech master for tonight?
Kostov.
Yes. Okay, Kostov, right?
Right.
Can someone tells me who are the speakers that have volunteered for his segment? Give me 3 names, just 3 names.
Fleming.
Mary.
And Capio. And
Mary.
Lawrence.
Denise.
Denise. Mary. Yes.
Okay. So right now, let's say we talk about Lawrence. Okay, Lawrence gave a speech. He volunteered himself on the segment on this topic on discipline, how to have discipline. So he shared one point on how to be disciplined. Can someone tell me what is the one tip to be disciplined?
Listen to Lawrence.
Schedule.
Yes, I think Sean is more correct lah.
Schedule.
Yes, correct. Scheduling, right? Then Albert and Sean, okay, volunteered as well to speak about what had they learned about COVID-19. Okay, during this period of time. There's one common thing they shared, okay,
Technology.
that they had learned. Okay, who said that? Technology?
Me, Wilson.
Wilson, okay.
Wow.
Fantastic. What about technology?
Because like technology like Zoom helped them to connect with people from worldwide.
Super.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Is that they had learned that through technology, it has given them able to help them to do so much more, able to still continue working, post meeting and meeting their family, right? Okay, then next, I would like to go to on prepared speech. Number 1 on Jonathan, for Jonathan Yeo. Can someone share with me what is the 3 tips, that he has shared with us to invest effectively?
He one tip was to invest in RET, RIET. That's Real Estate Investment Trust.
Okay, correct. Okay, Fleming?
Gotta be curious.
Yes, correct. Okay.
Jonathan.
Casey?
Casey, yeah.
Take action. Take action. Okay, correct. One more is avoid quicksand, right, Jonathan? Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes, stay away from quicksand.
Stay away from quicksand, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because the next one to ask is Jonathan. Do you remember what is the feedback given to you for your segment?
Mary shared that I should actually connect the different definitions of cash versus cash flow. That's what I took away because my title was, I didn't illustrate what my title meant to the lay person who is not investing. So I missed the point.
Okay, Ken. Okay, fantastic. Yes, it's to clearer definition, right?
Yes.
All right. Can someone remember also what is another feedback, all right, that the evaluation had gave Jonathan? Can someone help him out? Or Jonathan, do you remember the second, and probably another one, another feedback?
REIT is not communicated, what does it mean?
Right. Okay. That means
Right.
explanation of our technical terms.
I use
Good.
language that is familiar to me, and I assumed the audience will understand. So it's my fault.
Yes, correct. Okay, so this feedback, don't worry. Okay, you'll be better next time. Right now, we'll be on Alfred segment. Can someone share with me, okay, what is the 4 food categories that he had mentioned, you know, as he was sharing with us about Japanese food? One of it is coffee. So then what is the other 3 that he had touched about? He had touched on
Curry.
Chicken curry.
curry. Yes, correct.
And dessert.
Dessert. Last one.
Bread.
Cheesecake.
What about short and sweet?
Cakes, right?
Candies? Is it candies?
Ah, yes, candy.
Bread.
It's candies and sweet, okay? Okay,
I had
so
to buy bread from him. How can you say candy, never say bread?
probably the 5th one is bread. Okay, so for Alfred, do you remember one feedback that the evaluator had gave you?
The eye contact is not there. Yeah, need to improve on the eye contact because I tend to read this text.
Okay, what is okay, but nevertheless, what is one good thing? One good thing, you know, that the evaluators had asked you to keep it up to?
Things the introduction, you know, what I want to do. Yeah.
Okay, and also the pictures, the pictures, everything.
Yeah.
I think everyone loves it.
Okay.
Okay, then next, I shall move on to Albert Smith's segment. Can anyone let me know, okay, what is his topic for tonight?
Refining your gift.
Okay, refining your gift, right? Okay, what is the one analogy he gave, you know, about delayed gratification? You know, imagine you are a who?
Diamond.
Sorry?
Diamond.
A farmer, and then you don't expect the seed to grow up by next day. You got to harvest and wait and be patient.
Yes, correct. Okay. Then what is that one tip he has shared with us on how to look for your ideal career or job? He shared 3 tips. So what's the one tip?
You imagine you don't need to be paid. You already got the payment. What would you want to do?
Yes, correct. Okay, about paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next, Albert. Next question will be to Albert. Okay, Albert, do you remember what is one feedback, you know, that evaluators had gave you tonight for tonight's session?
Yeah, there were several, but one is too many examples were given in the speech, and so people didn't have a chance to, I guess, digest some of the information because of the many examples.
Okay, then how about one good point, you know, that the evaluators had liked about your speech?
They liked, I guess, the fact that I guess I'm engaging, and they also like the fact that, like, the stories. I hate to say the word but I'm stretching for words here. But I think the opening and the closing connected in a way that was helpful. It's just the overall information they wanted more as far as refining the gift.
Okay, and also the analogies, right? You tell them stories about diamond, you know, pressure, and also farmer, right? Okay. Actually, that's what I'm looking for.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
failed it.
Okay, no problem. Okay, then right now we're on the last
sorry
segment.
to interrupt you. Yeah.
Yes.
You close. You last segment already, right?
Yeah. On
So you
Mr.
can
Gay's
start.
speech. Actually, for Mr. Gay, very easy. If I were to ask all the questions about the history, right? I think even the tester also fail lah. Okay, so it's about being preparedness. Okay, yeah. So right now I have come to the end of the segment. Yeah, I think this class task in a very excellent manner. All right, MC, back to you.
Thank you very much, Sean. It was wonderfully done. We all came together with finally wrapping it up in a way with all the questions and concluding it in that way. But there's a very special section waiting for us. But before that, Chongnim, do we need the timekeeper's report? So we have Wilson Lowe giving us the closing address today. Perhaps the youngest person in this gathering here today. I'm not sure, but that's my guess. And according to what he says, his first presentation in English was at age 18, and today he's giving us a closing address at Agora. So looking forward to that. So according to him, he's an ordinary guy who's working his way to accomplish his dream in life, and someone who's willing to share his learning journey, the mistakes he makes, the encounters and experience with everyone who is on the path. Wilson is not a perfect guy. He has his own vulnerabilities, just like everyone else. He finds it tiring and suffocating to put on a mask, to be someone who he is not in this world. He believes that vulnerabilities can be our greatest strengths when we accept them as part of our life story. With the understanding that everyone has their own voice, and it's powerful to use that voice to make a positive impact, Wilson is looking for platforms to get his real voice out there, to reach out to people and be a positive influence in their lives. Besides his love to reflect, learn, and talk to people about life, Wilson is also passionate to share his perspectives on Parsi, which is Chinese astrology, and an ancient art of Chinese metaphysics. So, Wilson, we look forward to you. Let's all give him a warm applause and warm welcome to give us the closing address. Thank you.
Thank you, Shona.
Going forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Agora. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the, you guys can unmute and let's congratulate all the first-time speakers, the 3 speakers, our first-time speakers in Agora. Let's do it.
Yay! Well done. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Right. Okay.
Book your next speaking slot.
Yes, book with Casey, okay? Yes. All right. Next, I would like to highlight, because I'm running out of time, I just need to highlight the 5 lessons, the 5 themes of the night. The first one that I learned tonight is excellence. And I would like to acknowledge those speakers. Casey opened the night with the story of his parachuting lesson and how can we practice in Agora, repeat the same thing over and over again and get better, right? Just speak over and over again. And then Lawrence also talk about how can we practice discipline and to practice and I just want to quote, I just want to share a quote from Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, is a habit. So thank you for highlighting this topic of this theme of practicing to be excellent, right? Casey and Lawrence. And we have the next theme about technology. And Kapil, Mike mentioned about talk about the robots and how it helps it. And Mike highlighted that we can actually use technology, the robots, to make our life easier, to have more time for other stuff, other more important stuff that we want to do. And I think when we talk about how technology helped us in COVID-19 situation, Albert, Sean, and to talk about how connected we can be, how we can reach out to more people. Although we are locked down, but we are not totally shut down by the world. Okay. And yeah, and Jeffrey also talked about the importance of queuing. So I like one quote is that queuing has become the national pastime, and this is such a important lesson from the COVID-19 situation. it talks about the virtue as the virtue of patience. How can we be more patient in anything we do? And that relates to the practice that we mentioned and the path to excellence. And thank you, Jeffrey, for mentioning that. And then we have another theme, which is the theme of finance, right? While we are struggling, many people are struggling with in this global crisis. Jonathan provided us a perspective on how can we be more discerning when it comes to identifying the good investment and the bad investment. And the 3 points that Sean actually tested us on: no quicksand, or is that the second point was be curious, learn, research, and take action with your calculated risk. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan, I think you are very knowledgeable in this area, and thank you for giving us. It is very we don't really see this type of speech in Agora, and if you could make it even simpler for us to understand, I think that would benefit more of us. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. And the next theme of the night is leadership. There's a topic on Lee Kuan Yew, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, and Chong Lim, Mary, and Mr. Charan shared about their perspectives, how great Mr. Lee was. Yeah, indeed, he was a great leader. And this, in the same line, and leadership, Mr. Gay also talked about how the revolution was started by all the great leaders, Fidel Castro and all the, and this is on the global level. But I like that Fleming also mentioned on how she, as a VP education of her Toastmaster Club, practice leadership and how she can garner the support by just starting doing things herself, the small acts. When this small acts multiplied by many people, it can transform things that we do. It can transform lives. So in Agora, we all have our own unique talent and gifts, which is what the next theme was talking about. It's about passion and gift that Albert talked about tonight. When we find our gifts, identify our gifts, our talents, and when we spend the time, I like the fact, and Albert, you really used analogy very well, right? You used at first to talk about the free, the price, and you have when you want to develop your skills and all this, you need to pay the price. You need to have the effort. You need to be like a diamond, right? You need to go through all the pressure and all this thing, and from a seed, slowly we become a small plant, and then a tree, and then the fruits. So this is a journey to excellence that we talk about, and in Agora, when we come together, each of us started as a small seed. But when these small seeds all become a big trees, we have a jungle, right? And this jungle is so valuable. We can transform the world by starting with ourselves. And it's just like Alfred, right? Alfred, I think both Alfred and Albert, you guys try to inspire us with what you're passionate about. Alfred, you like to bring the culture, the Japanese food culture to us, and I like the fact that you use although there are things that you can improve on, but I just want to highlight that you did well in, you have the personal touch. When you talk about, drip coffee, how you would like to personally drip the coffee for us, it just whetted my appetite, and I so want to go to your shop and then taste the drip coffee that you prepare for us and personally done by you, right? So I think tonight is an amazing night, and although Mr. Gay has thought of put a twist to the whole the tone, the entire mood switch when Mr. Gay come up with 300 years the power, the world, how the politics and power, the wealth division. So be prepared for the violent times ahead, right? But I do want to share one thing that Agora is a place where we feel very safe. We feel very safe to share our opinions, our thoughts, and to just be authentic. Yeah, I think Albert mentioned about authenticity, and by sharing just be ourselves. We are the best in being ourselves, right? Everyone can make a difference. Just like how our appointment holders tonight, and I would like to acknowledge all the appointment holders tonight. Shauna did a very good job in terms of delivering. I would like to highlight something that Shauna did. Shauna diligently introduced every speaker, every appointment holder, every speaker, and so that you set the stage very well for all the speakers. Thank you, Shauna, for doing that. And this is the first time, no, we got to congratulate Shauna. This is the first time she becomes the MC of the night. Right, let's give Shauna some cheers. Unmute your mic.
Yay!
Yay!
Fantastic job.
You, yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, and Rihanna is always, the last week Rihanna mentioned about the crystal ball, right? But I would like to say that Rihanna is a fireball, because when Rihanna speaks and cheers everything, right, the ice just melted. So this is a perfect example of icebreaker. You melt the ice with your passion, with your cheerfulness, right, Rihanna? Let's cheer for Rihanna.
Yay!
Costa, the always very active guy in the room, and providing us such interesting topics tonight to spar our thoughts, spar our ideas. Thank you, Kostov.
Yay!
And I would like to also acknowledge Chong Lim for taking up the yeah, wow, amazing.
Wow.
Yes, thank you very much. So thank you everyone for tonight.
And we must thank Wilson
thank you.
also for doing a fabulous job. Wilson! Yay!
Best closing address so far. Excellent job.
Thank you. Okay, back to you, Shauna.
Yes.
Shauna got frozen.
Thank you so much, Wilson. That was such a beautifully done closing address. And in a way, if I can say something, Rihanna started with chocolates. She said, if we were to imagine we are all chocolates. And now, when you concluded, to connect with what Albert said about the tree that's planted, now we've become a jungle here. Jungle with the trees with chocolates and fruits, I guess. So thank you so much for a wonderful evening. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I'm telling you, it's without you, I would still be the caterpillar. Thank you very much.
I want to thank everybody here, and especially my production team. So thanks, Shauna. She has been patiently behind the text. I changed a lot of things because of some hiccups. I thank Mr. Gay for some very inspirational, because he did not number. If I'm him, I'm already like, oh, can you cancel my speech? Thank you. I appreciate that inspirational attitude that I'm still learning. And seriously, Sean and Wilson, appreciate that, because I have been telling they're supposed to have 15 minutes. I cut to 5 minutes. I give them 7 minutes. I'm trying to juggle the time so that I can leave on time. And appreciate everything. And I want to thank Carlson. Carlson actually came in to help just now without asking. Appreciate that. That is the initiative that we have grown together because of Agora. And you show us a very, very good example. Thank you very much. And thanks, Chong Lim. Rihanna, thank you very much for welcoming all the guests. Everybody here, you're so awesome. I am honored to be part of your team. Thank you. Back to you. A good night, everybody.